Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I am Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I'm Maddy Grace.
And this week we are continuing to sell out and play everyone's favorite Tales game, Tales of Symphonia. And it's not my favorite Tales game, but it's everyone else's.
It's my favorite Tales game.
Yeah, so far.
The joke is it's the only one I've ever played, in case you're listening and don't understand that. Okay.
I remember exactly nothing about what I've played of Tales of Fantasia, so I'm sure it's my favorite too.
Yeah.
So, yay.
So this week we are playing the second chunk of the game, which is huge and non-linear and like ballsy to have tried to do back in the day. And it's kind of really cool because most of these cutscenes are voiced and you can do them in any order. And
the funny thing is, we've talked many times about like, oh, how would we do this game? It's so non-linear. And this time we just did it on accident.
Yeah.
We just didn't really realize. It was like halfway through the week, Sam was like, yeah, so it turns out.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the guide I was using to break it up had Chapter 2 titled The Easy Way, and then Chapter 3 titled The Hard Way, and I don't remember enough about the plot, and I was like, oh, I guess it's like we try to do something, and then it messes up, and then we have to do it again, or whatever. And so I was like, okay, well, we'll just stop at Hema Village, because that's the first part of Chapter 3. But no, Chapter 2 or 3 were options. You could do it the easy way or do it the hard way.
Yeah.
And Maddy did it the hard way. Me and Eli did it the easy way.
Not on
me and
purpose.
Eli,
it's just how I am.
yeah, and me and Eli probably still didn't even do the same thing because it's crazy open, like constantly, and it's really cool. So we did 2 of the seals. We will do 2 more seals next week and finish out the non-linear section. So this episode is going to be a little weird, but before we get into the weirdness, how was everybody's week?
I've forgotten everything that happened over this last week once again.
Awesome.
Everything is melding together. I did a show in Final Fantasy
14?
Yes. I was doing the opera scene in Final Fantasy VI. I've been trying to find new songs for my character to perform, and I don't know if you two actually watched the video that I sent.
No, I meant to, but I forgot to.
Nope.
Cool, great, thanks. I appreciate that you both support me so much with my endeavors. Enough to not watch the video that I so lovingly made for you both.
Yes,
so you could know what the fuck I was talking
I will
about.
never watch a YouTube video. We've been over this.
I know for a fact you have watched YouTube videos.
It's one of the number one things about me.
Where should I put it that you will watch it?
We'll just print out every frame and staple them together so she can just have a flip book.
Yeah, I would do that.
It's going to be one hell of a flip book.
Yeah.
Because that's like a 5-minute video.
Yeah. Just a casual 300-page flip book. No big deal.
Yeah. But anyway, I was trying to show off what I do.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I in my defense,
fully meant
here in a
to
second,
watch
I
it.
had the busiest week of my fucking life, so I think I get a pass on many of the things that I bailed on this week, including
for
this.
sure. I totally understand, and I'm
Post
just
it again. Actually, honestly, post it again. Like tomorrow.
Okay. I will do that.
Yeah, I need to be reminded to do things.
But I made a recording of the song I did that got me 3rd place in the Eorzea Vision competition.
And there's no spoilers, right?
No spoilers.
There we go.
It's just an Aurod dancing around in his underwear, which is just great.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Crucial plot spoilers to Final Fantasy XIV. Eli's character dances in his underwear.
Yeah, it's a big twist.
Wait, which guy? Which character?
His name is Kaito.
Oh, that's your character. Your character
Yes.
dancing in underwear.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about an existing
No.
character.
No.
Like, remember that one guy? That guy?
Urianger?
that guy from Seventh Astral Era who has that big long subplot with the weird guy who thinks he's a detective.
Oh, Hildebrand.
And then his dad does a dance in his underwear. Anyway.
Yeah.
That part rules.
I love that quest chain. It's really great. And there's some fantastic rewards from it. But anyway, yeah, so I had a performance on Friday, and I have more coming up, and I keep telling myself I should take a break. But then I'm like, no, if I take a break, I'll no longer be relevant, and everyone will forget about me. Because that's how my stupid brain works. But I mean, it's fun. I enjoy doing it. So, yeah, it's been my week. Work has slowed down, so that's good.
My work has not slowed down. As I mentioned last week, I started a new job last week. It's Monday through Friday. And my first 4 days, I went to training at 10 p.m., 8 p.m., 8 p.m., and 8 p.m. respectively. The first night I was supposed to be at 8 p.m. as well, but there was a bit of a miscommunication, so we all showed up at 10. And then the trainer was like, yeah, once I realized that everyone was showing up at 10, I was just like, well, I guess I'll just chill for 2 hours until everyone gets here. So it was training, which involved three hours of classroom and then an hour and a half of actual work. And then on Friday, we had our first real shift of work, which was from 11 p.m. to around 5:15 a.m. And it was absolutely insane. It was very difficult. I heard that Friday's always the toughest day of the week, and this Friday happened to be tougher than usual. I heard everyone was like, "Oh boy, this sure is a day, huh?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm dying, but at least I know it's not normally quite this bad." So yeah, it was kind of exciting. It was a good time. It's fun to do a new exciting thing, even if it's very difficult. And at around 10:15 p.m. tonight, I'm gonna head out and start my second week of work. So it's been a lot of stress, anxiety, and physical tiredness and mental tiredness, but so far it's going well. And I hope it continues to go well. And also, as I mentioned before, because it is objectively a very difficult, exhausting, and tiring thing that I'm doing with my life right now, it kind of gives me a pass to get all my friends to take care of me all the time. So that's nice. If I bail on something, no one gets mad. And if I need my friend to bring me food and say nice things about me, I can just do that. So highly recommended. I'm exaggerating. Only one of those things actually happened, but the other one theoretically could happen. Yeah, that's going to be my life for a while. It's like I'm not doing anything else. I'm working my jobs. I'm winning an election next Saturday, hopefully, and then playing Tales of Symphonia. That's it. It's a whole lot as far as like me and my emotions and my body, but it's not a lot in terms of saying anything that happened to me this week. So yeah, that's me.
Nice. So I don't remember much of what happened my week. Mother's Day was great. We barbecued, and
happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
We had some veggie dogs from a local brand that I hadn't heard of before, and I can't remember what it's called now. And then we had Beyond Burgers, so it was a good old time. And I still suck at grilling, but this time, instead of letting it feed into my anxiety and me cursing the fact that I have a horrible relationship with my father, so I never learned any of these cliche dad things that I should know, like how to use tools or grill or anything like that. I instead went at it as if I were solving a puzzle, and so I've figured out, oh, I did this wrong, but I know I did it wrong, and here's how I'll do it right next time. And so I'm teaching myself to grill, and food was edible and delicious, so it's no big deal. But like, I got my fire hot enough, then I put the grill on it and started cooking right away. And you're supposed to put the grill on it and wait 15 minutes for that to preheat. Things like that. little small stuff.
Thank you.
Sorry, Summer brought me s'mores, so that's going to be delicious. But so yeah, I learned little small things to make it better for next time, and so I will eventually be a grill master, and hopefully by next January for the grand yearly cookout, so I can show off. But then today, because I've been casually interested in Precure for a really long time, the super long running magical girl anime from Japan, and it's like the biggest thing in the entire world, but because Saban Brands destroyed their opportunity to bring it over to the US, no one even like knows about it here. But it's like easily the most popular thing in Japan, and it's crazy. But don't quote me on that. I'm just vaguely remembering like a Polygon article about it from a year and a half ago. But I might be thinking of like Doraemon or some shit, but I'm pretty certain it was Precure. But I've been casually interested in it for a while, and eventually this last week was like, you know what, I'm going to start watching it. And then I found out that in addition to the 2 crappy seasons on Netflix that are under the name Glitter Force, where they cut out for Doki Doki Precure, they cut out 18 episodes worth of thing for like 4Kids style dubbing everything, which is nuts for that to have happened in like 2018. But in addition to those bad ones, Canada did a dub of the first 2 seasons way back in 2004, and I was like, oh, dope, I can watch this magical girl anime about young girls with my young girl, because she can't read yet, to watch any of it in Japanese. And so we got approximately 10 minutes into the first episode when Scarlett created an OC. And she is obsessed, and it's so cool. And we found a Precure character generator online. And so we went to my computer and we made her OC. And so I just dropped it in the host chat. But it's great. And
oh my gosh,
I just had
so fancy.
Time. It's so fancy. And like, I kept trying to like tell her we should have some restraint, and
no,
she refused.
Do not restrain her.
She has 2 different bangs, 4 different like wispy hairs.
Oh my god!
The main hair is a long braid, but then she wanted another one of those long braids off the other side. Has a Goku tail that she wanted it to be brown to match
Holy
Goku.
Shit, I'm finally seeing it.
Even though everything else is pink, she wanted the Goku tail. And
this thing is great.
It's so good. But yeah, so I'm not saying that she's gonna be a weeb, but she did create her first anime OC today.
I love the paisley tights.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, here's the thing, okay? There are actual animes with characters that were paid to be drawn by professional character designers with characters that are worse than this.
Yes.
Yeah. Way worse than this.
So it's definitely better than some actual anime characters.
Yes. But
she's very creative.
She really is. She's amazing. And so we our living room has been in shambles because we didn't have a couch, and we also were going to get a computer desk for Summer's old computer to be like the homeschool computer. And the desk that we wanted, we think is being discontinued at IKEA because we haven't seen this color come back in. And it was the wood grain finish of the basic Linmon desktop. Super basic, just like slab of wood. But all they have now is the white and black, and we just wanted the wood grain. So our neighbors are moving out, and they threw out a Linmon desk, the exact size that we wanted, with the wood grain tabletop. So we got that shit faux free.
That's incredible.
And it was amazing. So we finally have that, and so then we bought like the rest of the living room decorations to finally finish the living room, whatever. And included in that was a corkboard whiteboard combo to hang above Scarlett's desk. And so for her corkboard, she wanted to hang up her favorite things. And so she has these YouTubers, Kate and Janet. They're I don't think they're actually twins, but they're young Asian girls that play Roblox that she loves. And then she has Cookie Swirl C, who's another Roblox person that she loves. And you're like, okay, this is normal for a 4-year-old. And then she has Dragon Ball. She has this huge like group thing of all of the characters from Dragon Ball, the original, not Z. But then she also has Zombies from Disney Channel's the movie Zombies. She now has Pretty Cure up there, and it's just great. Her like remembering things that she loves, like Coraline's up there. She like will come into my office and be like, "Daddy, can you print me out a picture of blah 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 to put it on my wall?" And it's great. She's great. Love her.
That.
Remember when she was so small that she was crying during her nap, and it interrupted our first episode that we tried to record?
Man,
now she has a Pretty Cure OC.
That's incredible.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Can't even. Seems fake, but okay.
This podcast is really just a journal of your daughter growing up over the last few years. Like this is just like.
Well, I'd rather people think about how this podcast tracks with your life than mine. If you're to look at characters as like arcs, it's like Sam's had this nice clean arc, you know? It's like has the daughter, has the job, loses the job, gets another job that he likes more, eventually decides to move, has this exciting adventure. And then you look at the arc I've been on, and
yours isn't a character arc. Yours is a character squiggly.
I was about to say, let's just say that calling it a character arc would be a bit of an overstatement.
Yeah, speaking of character arts and squiggles, let's talk about this game for the week, and we'll listen to some song. I don't know. There was good stuff this week, so we'll listen to something of it. I'll think about it later. We'll listen to something and then we'll talk about this week. So, first things first, this game, like, it goes for it, and it's crazy. I don't think I've ever played a JRPG, at least, that has this much, like, openness this early. Like, Final Fantasy VI and the like all have, you can do things in whatever order, and it'll also kind of make sense as, like, the final act, not just starting out of the gate. So last week we were told to go to Isolde and get a boat, and you can do that, except the whole world is one giant continent, so you don't actually need to take a boat anywhere, and you can walk in the opposite direction and do the whole week backwards. And even if you...
The weirdest thing is the game doesn't tell you, like, if your dad or whatever had said, hey, you need to get the next couple of seals, you could go south to Isolde and get a boat. Or you could go north to Lewin and do that instead. That would be one thing. But instead, he's just like, go to Isolde and get the boat. And if you're me, you're accidentally just like, what if I didn't?
Yeah. And so, and then even if you do go, if you pick either of your two ways to do it, like the way that I went, like you can get the water seal basically at any time, because all it takes to get the water seal is to pay $100 to ride on a boat over to the geyser and solve the water seal. You can do that at any point. The main Paul McCosta plotline, which we'll get to in a second, has this whole part about blowing up a human ranch, and you can do that whenever. And even while you're there, like, there's a person that asks you, like, hey, do you want to charge in there guns blazing, or do you want to go back to the town and ask so-and-so? And I'm guarantee if you went and asked so-and-so, you would get that side quest then instead of later when I did it.
So hold on. So I didn't play this part. So just to clarify here, because the parts that I did play, yeah, there was this big side quest, but the side quest was a necessary prerequisite to getting the seal. You know, it was like, you got to do this stuff, and then you can do the seal. So for the water stuff, it was just like, you got to do the seal, and also this thing happens, and they're not related.
Yeah, kind of. So
can't wait for next week when I play it.
They're very interconnected and not connected at the same time. It's like it really feels like a Witcher 3 quest line where it's like your point A is you show up in this town, and your point Z is you kill so-and-so, but A or B through Y can happen in any order, and all will influence each other and do all this other stuff. And it's nuts that this rinky-dink anime JRPG pulls it off in chapter 2. Like,
you know what that reminds me of?
Beginning ass of the game.
In a much more simplistic manner, Earthbound does this, actually. Earthbound, your goal is to get the 7 MacGuffins. And generally, but also, you know, you get to a new town, and usually there's something blocking your passage to the next town. Mm-hmm. And generally, after you get the MacGuffin, then your passage to the next town is not blocked anymore, right? Mm-hmm. But the 4th town you go to, the town of Fourside, as seen in Super Smash Brothers, you go and have this big adventure. And after you're done with that big adventure, the path to the next town is open. And if you're just going through the game, you're like, cool, the path's open. You just keep going. And you don't actually get the MacGuffin. Because getting the MacGuffin requires... It's almost like it's a side quest. Like, the gating of the game is being gated by not getting the MacGuffin, but by something else. So it's actually relatively common for people, including myself, also other players, that you get the quote-unquote 7th MacGuffin, and you're like, cool, I got them all. Wait, I only have 6. What the fuck? And then you have to remember that way back in Town 4, you just didn't go down that one path and get the MacGuffin, even though it was right there. Even though it's ostensibly the point of the game.
I don't even remember if I've gotten to Fourside.
You maybe haven't.
I was definitely in Threed, and we went through like a big snowy place.
That's all in Threed. Did you get to the desert? Not the first desert.
Yes.
Not the first desert. The desert resort.
Oh, I'm not sure. I know that we did get to the desert, and I think that's around where we stopped because
but yeah, that's
it was going to require a lot of grinding because I was starting to lose traction.
Yeah, that's before Foresight. Yeah, I guess you didn't get there.
Yeah, we didn't quite get there then.
Well, when you do eventually get on playing that game, remember to actually get the MacGuffin from Foresight before you continue on with your story, with your journey.
But yeah, so like last week, the thing was, okay, we need to go and get all the seals, and you really can just do that however you feel like, and it's super cool. So I went to Isolde, and I boarded a boat and made my way across. It was kind of cute how you got on the boat, because the guy was like, oh no, there's monsters everywhere. I really thought we were going to fight any of these monsters, but we don't. He's like, there's monsters everywhere.
I thought it would be like a Final Fantasy VI boat ride where we...
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the oldest tropes that's one of the oldest tropes in the book. Like, oh, we gotta defeat the big sea monster before we can go on the boat, right? But no.
Yeah. No, you just take the boat. And so they're like, oh, I don't want to go. And this guy, there's only one guy with a boat in town. And you're like, take us. And he's like, no, I won't. But coincidentally, I have a really huge crush on this one girl. So you go talk to this girl, and she's like, I have a crush on someone completely different, and I'm going to take a letter to him across the sea. And we're like, but there's no boats running. And she goes, fucking watch me. And so she goes out there and convinces the guy that has a crush on her to take us, and we'll take the letter to so and so. I didn't actually do that. I probably should get around to that part of that quest. But we make our way across the inner lake thing because, like I said, it's ground's all connected, so it's like a sea more than it is a ocean. So we make our way across the ocean and we land in Palma Costa. Palma Costa is the biggest city in the world, as they say. It's pretty big. It doesn't seem that magnificent. It seems kind of like it feels like the port town that you start Final Fantasy VIII next to, and you're like, that tiny ass town is the biggest town in this whole world. But when you first show up in Palma Costa, Colette bumps into this girl, and she was carrying this potion, the Palma potion. It's the local delicacy, and she bumps into her and knocks it on the ground. So the chick is like, fuck you, this was expensive, you have to go buy us a new one. And we're like, okay, we will. It's like, calm your tits. And so we go into an item shop, and we meet this little girl named Chocolat and her mom Cacao. And
Chocolat's voice acting is not good. It leaves a lot to be desired.
That's par for this whole game's course. Like, everybody kind of phoned it in on this.
Yeah, a little bit.
But ironically, I think Colette probably does the best, but I hate her voice. So it's like, it's acted well, but I don't like it.
It balances out.
Yeah. But and so Chocolat is basically like, hey, fuck the designs. I'm going to punch every design I ever fucking see in the face, and it's cool because our governor Dor will back me up on it. And like, we're not afraid of them here. We don't have a peace treaty with them. I would never sign a peace treaty with these evil people. Like, if any design shows their fucking face, we'll fucking fight. And you're like, cool, that's awesome. Why are you like this? Like, what's your story? And she was like, oh, they took my grandmother. She founded this item shop, and so we've been running it in her absence, but she was taken away, and so we're going to go and save her one of these days. So the item shop is, when you go to buy there, is called Marbles.
Gee, I wonder where that's from.
Yeah, and it doesn't bring this up. Like, the group doesn't realize it for a very long time, and I didn't know if they would, or if it was just going to be a Dragon Quest type thing and have an NPC in one town talk about an NPC in another town, and therefore you create art. And so I was like flipping my shit when I saw that. But and so you buy your Palma potion, and you take it back to the group, and they are they're like rude to us, and they're talking about how they're on their own adventure, and they got that thing from the governor, and they don't even need it, so they're just going to sell it to the weird guy at Hakonesia Peak who collects weird shit. So we go to talk to Dor, the governor general, and he's like, oh, who are you? And we're like, oh, we're the Chosen. And he's like, no, you're fucking not, because the Chosen just came in, and I gave her the Book of Regeneration, and she went on her merry way. So you're obviously pretending.
Oh, no.
And we're like, what? And so he calls in the guards, and they're all about to like whoop us, and they're not listening. So thankfully, Colette's clumsy ass trips and falls, and her wings pop out, and they're like, oh shit, you have wings, you're obviously the Chosen. So sorry about that. I gave the Book of Regeneration away, and the Book of Regeneration was written by the last successful Chosen of Silverant from way back in the day, the one that founded the Church of Martel, and she documented her entire journey in that book in the language of the angels. So we kind of need it to know where all of the seals are. And so we're like, well, we got to go. We got to go get it back.
I just can't keep thinking about them as being seals. Sorry.
So we make our way up to Hakonesia Peak. When you get to Hakonesia Peak, you find, you talk to the guards, because the Hakonesia Peak is the valley that connects this side of the continent to the other side of the continent, where the town of Asgard and the town of Hema and all of the places that Maddy is familiar with are. And so to get across, we have to pay 100 million gald. The gold cap in this game is 99 million. So you cannot possibly, even with grinding forever, make your way across.
It is simply a jape.
Yes. So you're like, well, crap, I can't get across. So you talk to the guy there, and the hermit guy, and he's like, hey, you're like, hey, we're the chosen. We need that thing. And he's like, I don't care. I bought this. It's mine. And we're like, well, let us buy it back. And he's like, well, there's one thing I want even more than this. I want you to go and steal me the statue of Spiritua from the closest House of Salvation. And so you're like, okay, cool.
But
we're the chosen.
Illegal.
We're the chosen. We're just going to walk in there, say we need it for our journey, and they won't be assholes like you, because they're the Church of Martell. They're like on our side, so we'll just take it and we'll come back. And
this is a
fine.
JRPG. There's no way that the church would be bad, actually.
Yes. So we go back to the House of Salvation, and we talk to the people there, and they're like, yeah, we would love to let you borrow it, except actually this is a fake statue, because I was carrying the other statue at the geyser the other day, and I dropped it, and it fell into the geyser, and it's like on this rocky outcropping on the other side, and I couldn't get it, so I just got this dwarven man that I met on my travels to make me a fake one. And Lloyd's like, fuck, Dad, like, why are you always doing shit and making fake religious artifacts for people? So at this point, because we already talked about how you can get on the boat or don't, and that's a big branch. Here's the second branch. Someone runs up and is like, hey, the town is getting attacked. Palmacosta is getting attacked. We need you to go back and save them. And you're like, okay, cool. So you can ignore that and go and get the thingy and make your way across the peak and go do the Maddy side of the continent if you wanted to. I did not, and I went to go and check out the town. So you come back to the city, and you discover that Magnius, the cardinal in charge of this human ranch in the area, he's invaded the city, and the city can't defend itself because Dor and the city guards are away performing training exercises. So like while they were away, that's was high time for them to attack. And so you're like, well, shit. And so in the middle of the city, they're about to execute Cacao, and
See, normally whenever we space out on these parts, I can help out, but this time I can't.
Yeah. So Cacao is about to get executed, and the group shows up and like, hey, fucking stop that. And then Magnius is like, oh shit, it's prisoner 0074, Lloyd Irving. We've been trying to get you, so we're going to fucking fight you. And so there's a really cool, I don't think you actually fight them right here. It's just in a cutscene. I might be mistaken. There might be a fight as well. But you like your team, like Avengers, like money shot type thing, where like Rain will cast a spell and Genus will cast a spell. Lloyd jumps up with the sword and does cool shit. And they knock away the guards. They are like, you know what, fuck you, we'll fight you later. Colette uses her chakram like Xena and cuts down the noose around Cacao to like cut her down and everything. Mm-hmm. It's super fucking cool. And so the Designs leave, and the group goes back to Chocolat and Cacao's house, and Chocolat thanks them so much for saving her mother, and Chocolat and so they explain that that Chocolat's father was killed in a fight with the Designs, and their grandmother was taken away, and Chocolat works in the church, but mm-hmm. she doesn't believe that Martel will come and save them, because if Martel was going to exist, like, she would have intervened by now, because shit's fucked. And Colette's like, yeah, have angel wings. And she's like, I don't give a shit. Like, we fight summon monsters and magic shit all the time. You having magic powers doesn't mean that Martel is anything real. And it's a really cool scene. But so then you're like, okay, well, let's I got things slightly out of order. When you go to try and get the thing, mm-hmm. The statue, the priest isn't there yet, and that's when you go back and they're getting attacked. And then
I still need to get that damn statue.
Yeah. So after you, so the guy wasn't back yet. You go to the town, then you go back to get the thing, and you give it to the guy, and that's and so after you find out, I have to go and do the Geyser side quest, you get word that Chocolat has been taken away to the ranch because she caused some ruckus yelling mm-hmm. at them. And you're like, okay, well, let's go get them. And you meet up with Neil, who is Door's right-hand man. And Neil is like, hey, let's go and let's go back to town and everything, and like rally the troops, and we'll come back. And you can say, no, I'm going to rush straight in. And if you choose to do that, Neil then is like, okay, I was hoping you would say that because Door is in cahoots with the human ranch people, because of course he is. You can't be a person in charge in a JRPG and not be crooked. And so we don't know why and what's up with that just yet, but he's like, yeah, basically he like is allowing them to take civilians while keeping up this big thing, like, oh, we're going to fight you and stop you, etc. So the people all feel safe, but mm-hmm. like under the table, he's still selling people into slavery and whatnot. And you're like, well, that fucking sucks. Fuck him. Let's go save Chocolat. So you can. Damn,
what is he? The American auto labor movement circa 1950?
I guess.
You're welcome for my extremely specific jokes.
Yeah.
And so you go into the ranch, and you find like all the people who are captured there, and you're like, all right, Neil, take all these people and fucking run and get them to safety. We're going to find Chocolat, bust some Nazi heads, and blow this place to smithereens. And so you go and find the control room, and Magnus is there, and he has Chocolat, and mm-hmm. He's like, hey, just so you know, I've been watching you on television. And there's a cute thing where none of them know what television is, and so Rain like explains it with magic and shit. It's stupid. I love it. But and so he's like, I've been watching you on closed circuit television the whole time. Like, you're fucked. Basically, I was waiting until you got here to this point. Now I'm going to kill you. And we're like, no, like, we won't let you. Chocolat, come with us. And Magnus is like, Lloyd, do you know, like, your prisoner 0074, do you want me to say why you're a prisoner and why you are wanted? And it's for trespassing on the ranch and killing one of the prisoners. And that prisoner was Marble. And Chocolat is like, oh, fuck you. Like, fuck all of you. Like, I would rather die than be saved by you. A good thing I don't believe in Goddess Martel, because her chosen is a fucking asshole. Like, you killed my grandma. And like, you try to be like, or Genus tries to be like, no, well, that's not exactly what happened. Like, we didn't know it was Marble that we were fighting. And then she, like, tried to save us. And it was this really sweet scene. She having none of it. And Lloyd was like, you're right, I killed her. And I'm like, you didn't, though. She was alive and she exploded herself to save you. Like,
yeah,
you didn't do anything, Lloyd.
There was another part in my part of the game where something very similar happens, where, like, I forget what it was. Maybe it was a skit. I don't necessarily remember. But there was a part where basically, like, someone is saying, like, Lloyd, this is all your fault, all this bad stuff. Oh, they're like, oh, what happened to your village was your fault. And I think someone else, maybe Colette, tries to defend him. It's like, you know, it's not your fault. And he's like, no, it was. I didn't take responsibility. And I was like, okay, look, I'm all in favor of character growth and learning to take responsibility for things, but you should do character growth and take responsibility for things that were actually your fault.
Yes.
Lloyd, you're actually being too hard on yourself. It's weird. Stop it.
Yeah. And so Chocolat is pissed and she runs off, and we have a boss fight with Magnus that I barely even remember. The battle system in this game is not great. It's not bad, and it's kind of fun to do, but it's you really just when they're charging up, you dodge, and when they're not charging up, you unleash your combos. And
I just go in and I smash buttons and then I win.
Yeah.
In between last week and this week, I've gone from actively disliking the battle system and thinking that it, like, is boring and incomprehensible, to being like, it's kind of fun, actually.
I agree that it's incomprehensible. I keep doing the thing to press down the right control stick, and then it gives me a bunch of buttons to press, and I press them and nothing happens.
Wait, right control? Oh, right, that, yeah.
The limit break or whatever it is.
So those, you might just need to go into your AI characters and set up them as if you were going to play as them. Set up whatever
they don't have any skills set up.
Yeah, so you set whatever I'm not pressing any buttons special skill will be. Set it to that. You can set up all of them if you want to, but I just leave it basic, and so that way I can just hammer all the buttons and they all do a special attack.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's like even when I press B, because I have shit set up for Lloyd, even when I press B, it seemed like it was doing fucking nothing. But okay.
But I recommend using Photon on Rain, and it's like Ring Hurricane or Ring Storm or something like that on Colette. That because those, when you do it, they power each other up to do a special move that kicks a lot of ass.
Okay. I have been using both Rain and Colette mainly, along with Kratos from God of War.
I have yet to put Rain in my party, because yesterday when you get your party set up, it was the other four, and I haven't changed my party yet because it's a pretty good setup, so I haven't even experimented.
Rain is your healer, so you should do that right now. She has all of your buffs, all of your debuffs, all of your heals, all of that stuff. She's incredibly OP and very, very integral to the rest of the game. Maybe the game isn't as hard as you thought it was. You just haven't had a healer.
I had a lot easier time this week, difficulty wise. I just, the game had a bit of a learning curve for me. I mean, there are. I mean, as we were chatting. Well, no, actually, the thing we were chatting about was last week. Anyway, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. But, so we fight Magnius, we set the place to explode, and we get the fuck out of there. And so far this whole time, I don't remember exactly where they all happened, but we've met up with Sheena like 3 or 4 times. She's the clumsy assassin from last time. We learn her name at some point this week. Love her. But we meet up with her like 3 or 4 times, and none of them are a fight yet. It's always like, I'll kill you next time. And it's like, isn't this next time, though? Like, isn't that what we're doing? Because you said that at the Asa Trail, and here we are now. Shouldn't you be trying to kill us? And it's cute. So after taking down the ranch, I was like, okay, well, let's go confront Door for selling all these people into slavery. And so I make my way back to Paul McCosta, and you go into Door's office, and he's talking with a design like, don't worry, like the money will be here next week, like under the table sort of shit. We catch him red-handed.
Just give me 5 minutes.
And so you where you catch him is down in his basement. He's like not at the top, but you hear people talking downstairs. You go to the basement and you're like, hey, what the fuck? And he's like, oh, the reason I'm working with the designs is because my wife Clara has been mutated like Marble was, and she has what's called a demon seed inside of her. But if Door cooperates with them, they'll give him medicine to remove the seed. And so he's like hysterical, like, oh my, like, I'd do anything to save my wife, you don't understand. And Colette's like, no, like your wife is dead, like she's a freaking monster, like you gotta move on, you can't kill your whole town for this. And at that point, Door's daughter Kilia, who's just been this sweetheart the whole time, is like, enough of this, and she stabs Door in the back and turns into this weird like demon puppet type thing. And she's like, I've been one of the grand cardinals of the designs this whole time. Fight me one-on-one. And so you do that, and you fight her, and she is about to die, and she's like, well, since I'm dying, let's sit Clara on you like we did Marble. And so she opens the gate like with her dying breath, and Clara's coming out to like attack, but Colette is like, no, stop, like there's been too much killing, don't do it. And Clara like agrees and leaves. And so then we turn to Door, who's on the floor like dead, and he asks if his real daughter is truly dead. And Lloyd, for some reason, it doesn't prompt me to let me say this is a bad idea, lies and tell him that his real daughter is alive somewhere.
What the heck?
Everyone's like, dude, what the fuck?
Why are you like this, Lloyd?
Lloyd fucking sucks.
He really does.
How weird.
Weird.
He's a strange fella. Man, also, I gotta say, holy cow, so much stuff happened in your game and not mine this week. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
You might think, oh, we got 2 seals, and Maddy also got 2 seals. I'm sure that her adventure to get the seal that we didn't get was just as complex and elaborate, right? No. The seal that I got that y'all didn't get is like you go to a dungeon and you get the seal. So this is really funny to me. We did not play equivalent amounts of video game.
No, we did not.
Basically, there's 3 seals. 2 of them involve long, complicated adventures, and y'all did both of them. One of them involves going to a dungeon.
Yeah. So he's dying. So Rain tries to heal him with her magic, but she is successful. So Dor asks Lloyd and the others to return Clara to her human form, and we're like, okay, we'll do. And he says to save Chocolat. I forgot to mention, when we're fighting with Magnius, Chocolat like half willingly goes with the guards, and they go to some other human ranch. We don't know where they went, but so he dies. We go upstairs, stairs, and Neil is like, I'm going to be the governor general for now, but we're setting up like a social democracy basically, and we're going to have like an election and move on from here, which is super cool. And we're like, well, what about all of the prisoners? Because they all have X-Spheres in them, and they're all going to go nuts like Clara did if we don't do something. And he's like, well, we'll just remove them. And they're like, you can't remove X-Spheres. It'll hurt the people that have them in there. Only some skilled dwarven blacksmith could do it. And we're like, well, we'll just fucking call my dad. And so Dirk comes to help remove the X-Spheres. And at that point, you are now free to move around the country, and you can go to Thoda Geyser, and you get if you investigate the geyser itself, you have this little mini game where Genus freezes the geyser, and you have to jump across it to get to the thing. And then you go to it's funny that there's like a tourist trap sign like, welcome to the Great Thoda Geyser, blah 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 blah, and Colette's like, wait, does that look weird to you? And you look closer, and it's the fucking chosen stone that you look at all the time to open the seals. They just have like posters hung on top of it.
It's like a tourist attraction now.
Yeah, so she goes and puts her hand on it and opens up where the seal is, and you go in and do the tiny little dungeon there. And so it's a tiny little dungeon. It's like three things. I was stuck on it for a while because the critical path is a doorway that goes into the screen. And if you don't ever walk far enough down on the screen, you don't see doorways that go into the screen. So I was like, how the fuck? Like, I can see the thing I need to do downstairs. How the fuck do I get downstairs? But it took me a while. But nothing exciting really happens inside that dungeon. So technically, this seal dungeon, nothing matters either. It's just the reason to go here is wrapped up in all of that other junk. So we get that one, and I think it was when we beat Magnius, or maybe when we blew up the ranch. I don't remember, but we find a pass to get through Hakanesia Peak, so we don't have to pay all the gold for it.
Oh, so, thank goodness. Now we can finally find lots of herbs that are good for our immune system.
Yes. So
it sounds like
we make
the joke.
I guess. I don't even know that word. But so we go out to Hakanesia Peak, and we give the dude the statue, and we look at the book, and the book says like it's missing a lot of pages. So it mentions, in the geyser at Asgard, etc. It's poetic language, but it's basically like, here's where all of the seals are, but the last page is ripped out, so we don't actually know if that was all of them, how many there are. We're just gonna do all the ones that we can find. And so we're like, cool, thanks, and we make our way across the peak and come to the town of Asgard, which Maddy was actually knows this one. So,
and now I'm actually playing this part of the game. Yeah. Oh, actually, let me tell you how I got here. So I got to the boat, and they were like, only one guy has a boat here, and then the girl was like, I'm going to ask the guy to take me across, and then he was like, okay, we're ready to go. Do you want to get on the boat? You can say yes or no. And I was like, no. I just got to this whole other area of the continent on the other side of Osha Peak or whatever. I want to go explore some more. So I go and I explore some more, and I just clicking on stuff. finding little skits out in the world map and whatever, looking for the damn signpost to let me go into all range mode. And then I click on this one area, and it's like a little mountain pass, and I get to the other side of the mountain pass, and here I am.
Yep.
That's it. I simply went over here instead. So that's my experience with this game. Also, in the meantime, I stumbled upon a very, very, very elaborate side quest that I'll probably bring up in the mid-months.
Nice. So, when you get to Asgard, everything is super windy there. It's like the city of wind type thing, and it used to be a tourist attraction, and people would come all the time. And as proof of this, it's one of the cutest things I've seen in a JRPG. There are 4 inns of varying quality. So you have like the shack with just beds in it, and that one costs 100. And there's one where you get like private rooms, and that's 200. And then there's like the mansion size luxury really one, cute. And has 400 because there's usually enough people where they have to do it. But it is currently basically deserted. And you talk around, find all the people, and the NPCs talk about how there's a ceremony of some sort, and the maiden's name, Aisha, is going to be doing a dance and be the sacrifice at this ceremony. And you're like, well, that's not cool with us. And you make your way up to this big stone dais up at the top, and Rain fucking weebs out, and she's like, oh my god, it's so fucking great. Like, look at this. This is from the 7th astral era or whatever the fuck. And she's going on about,
one might say, now it's Rhine time.
Yes. And so she's like talking about everything, and they do a thing that they haven't done so far, but I love it, where she's going off and like talking about all of the thing, and it gives you control back of Lloyd, so you can just run away. And so you run to the back of the stage, and these 2 dudes are there, and they got a big ass like cartoony bomb, and they're gonna blow it up. And you're like, why would you you do that? And they're like, because we don't want the ceremony to go through, yada yada yada, and we're just going to blow this place to smithereens. Which of course Rain, on the other side of the entire place, hears, and she like jumps over the whole fucking stage to come down and like chew them out for destroying historical artifacts, except she accidentally hits the bomb when she's gesticulating with her hands. So then Lloyd has to...
This game's got a lot of shenanigans.
It's so many shenanigans. And so Lloyd disarms the bomb, and we go to talk with them and see what's up. And so we find out that one of the guys' name is Linar. His sister Aisha is going to be offered as the sacrifice to the summoned spirit of wind. And we're like, hey, the summoned spirits are the ones in all of the seals. This must be the seal that we're looking for.
Wait.
It mentioned something about it's not. You're not misremembering.
No. Go on. I just want to butt in a second, because I just remembered something very important that needs to be said.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I was like, this doesn't seem to match up with what I experienced, even though we are playing the same part of the game now, right? When I first got into this zone, when I exited that pass, there was like a little cutscene where someone was like, I forget what it was exactly. Maybe we like encountered an NPC or something, and they're like, "Hi, welcome to this part of the world. You can go down to this town, or you can go over to this tower." And we're like, "What the fuck is this tower?" And they're like, "Oh, it's the Tower of Prayer or whatever." And then there's even a cutscene where they're like, "Oh, the Tower of whatever. Maybe there's a seal there." So we just head over to the seal, the prayer tower. They literally are like, maybe we should go there before we go to the town. Why bother with the fucking town, right? So instead of going to Asgard, I just go to the tower, And when I get to the tower, there's this big long cut scene, which again apparently was just optional, but I experienced it before any of this stuff happened, where you meet this. Were you eventually going to get to stuff with the ninja girl again?
Yeah, she fights us at the end of Bellicroft. And that's the next thing I was going to talk about.
Weird. Wait a second. I might be is the ninja girl the one who's trying to save her mom, right?
We don't know all of that yet. You might know all of that, but we don't know all of that.
So it turns out that we learned this stuff. Well, maybe Sam should just tell us all next week then. Again, with the nonlinear, to me, the whole... Okay, so if you go to the tower, you get this big plot thing involving the ninja girl, and you learn a lot about her motivations and what the fuck is going on with her. And then you decide that y'all are friends now, even though she doesn't think that y'all are friends. And we decide to help her by getting something very important. And that's why I even went to Asgard, was to get the important item. And then we were like, where's the important item? And they were like, oh, it's over in Bancroft Ruins or whatever. No, it's over in the Wind Ruins. So I'm not going here because it's a wind seal or whatever. I'm going here to complete a side quest.
That's crazy.
And after doing all this stuff, I then complete the side quest, and then while I'm at it, I go ahead and I do the Bancroft Dungeon seal. And so, like, for me, all of this is I'm on a long side quest to help someone out. And I guess I won't go more into it because I guess you'll tell us all about it next week.
Yeah, this is a weird part. Like, if I would have known, I would have just budgeted more for us to just push through the whole linear
it's
part.
So funny.
But yeah, that's
well,
wild.
It's so seamless. I didn't even, to me, it just seemed normal. Like I was like, I'm on the main plot. You know, this girl is asking me to help her out. She needs a magic spell to revive her like dead mom or her sick mom, and even though she doesn't have the ability to cast magic spells, I decide, right, I'm going to help you out because I'm the chosen, or Colette's the chosen. So she's like, I'm the chosen. I can go and get this magical spell book. You can't get it, but I can. I'm the chosen. So we go on this long journey to get this thing just so that we can go back to the tower. Oh, that's right. The book is in the tower, but we can't get into the tower unless we get like a MacGuffin. So all of this, I'm just trying to get the MacGuffin. But I'm doing everything that Sam is currently doing in pursuit of MacGuffin.
That's crazy.
The reason I'm at these ruins is because they said that there was someone there who had the thing I'm looking for. Wow, this game's really weird.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, go on, Sam.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like, I thought you were about to interrupt me for the completely unimportant part, because you were like, oh, when I left there was an NPC, because I skipped over a scene where like the mayor tells you like, don't fuck with the dais again or whatever. I was like, no, that's not important, Maddy. Why are you stopping me for that?
Yeah,
but it was this whole other thing.
Yeah. And again, I would go into it even more, except again, like, it is important plot stuff, so I guess it'll just happen next week and we'll find out eventually
how it all fits together.
Okay, go on.
Yeah. So, and so, we're like, oh, the summon spirit of wind, like that's like the summon spirits are all behind the seals that we've been doing. So, this seems like this is where the seal is. So we're going to get it. And we're like, okay, how can we do it? And Rain's like, oh, well, I'll just be the maiden. I'll just go do the dance. I'll be up there and we'll fight the summon spirit of wind that way. So the mayor's like, I don't care. As long as somebody gets fucking sacrificed, it can be you. I don't give a shit. And so we go up there and Rain does the ritual, and then a creature shows up, but it's not the summon spirit of wind. It's just some dude. And so we have a boss fight with the spirit, and when we defeat it, we basically save the town, and they're like, oh, that's super cool. Here's our MacGuffin, the map of Bellicroft, which is a thing, and it's all written in this ancient language. And Rain is like, lucky for you, I speak ancient languages, and so they translate it through the night. And the next day, she's like, okay, well, I translated it, and the map shows that there is a seal in Bellicroft Mausoleum right up the road. So we're going to go there and stop everything. And so and I'm going to do the Colette scenes all together. I just realized I had skipped over the first one, so I'll do those towards the end. Because those are the main plot things that were not non-linear this week. But so we make our way over to Bellicroft Mausoleum, and I accidentally made a really cool puzzle that's way too hard to be in a JRPG, and I thought it was super awesome, and I was going to talk about it for forever, but I realized I was dumb. So the correct thing to do is to go, when you get inside the dungeon, is you go right, and when you go right, there's a big ass thing on the wall that's like, hey, the power of the gods equals yellow, and yada yada yada. It breaks down what all of the colors are, and the rest of the dungeon will just be like, oh hey, here's a poem that talks about the power of the gods and the blue butterfly and blah 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 blah, etc. And so those poems are the order you have to activate these switches to get through this door and get some extra stuff. But the really cool puzzle that it isn't actually that I ran into was one of them says this is in clockwise order, and these are what the things are, and so the other ones. So basically, what I did is I took the one that I knew was in clockwise order, tried out the switches in clockwise order from each one, because there's only 4 to do it, to find the one that worked, jotted down the order that it was in that, like the order of the switches that worked for that one, jotted down what the poem was for that one. So then I could line that up with one of the other poems and like translate it into things. I was like, oh, why did blue, red, green, yellow, black, white, or whatever. And so that is in clockwise. So I know that lines up to this, and this. So when I go to the other poem and it's in this other order, I can figure it out. I'm like, that's really cool. Way harder than any of these ever are. They're always just like, the fire touches the water while the grass of the yellow sky or whatever. It's like usually super fucking simple. These were like nonsense. And I was just like, this is super fucking cool. Eli's not going to have any patience for this. Eli, here's the answer. Yada, yada, yada. Let's move on. And then on our way out, I'm like, oh yeah, there was a place to go to the right. I probably skipped a chest. Let me go get it. And I walk over and it's like, hey, here's the answer to the fucking puzzle. I'm like, oh no, it was.
See, it was
really easy.
The other order and did not realize any of this.
Yeah, I thought it was a really clever, but like too clever puzzle, and it turns out to just be as easy as it is in every other JRPG. But yeah, you go and unlock the seal, and on your way out, you have a fight with Sheena, and at the end of the fight, she says, Colette's like, hey, like, why can't we just be friends? I'm just trying to regenerate the world. And Sheena's like, yeah, this world. And we're like, what? She's like, if you regenerate the world, you'll destroy my country. And it's like, no, we're saving the world. And she's like, you just don't fucking get it. And she runs off.
Even though the way that you're playing the game seems a lot more canonical, and frankly, like, the game points you in that direction, whereas mine was like going in a weird, like, sequence breaky kind of way. I got that scene too, but I got that scene after having already had a whole fucking arc with Sheena, and it actually made a lot of sense that way. So now I'm just imagining that scene happening without any of the context that I know that now you don't. Again, we literally went on a whole side quest to help her, and she kind of like begrudgingly likes us now. That's weird.
It's so weird, man. So yeah, those are all of the Monster of the Week stories that happened. So the main story that happens is, so after your first seal, you get up there and Colette says her prayer. Remiel comes down, is like, you've released the second seal, accept this blessing, and blah blah blah. The next seal is in blah 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 blah. And he's like, everything Colette says is like, hey, father this, father that, and Remiel is like reading off the script. Basically, it's like, accept this blessing from Crucius. I hereby grant you additional angelic power, or what the fuck ever. And Colette's like, did I do something to displease you? And he goes, it doesn't matter. All you need to do is become an angel. I'll be at the next seal. Hurry and be a true angel. Don't disappoint me.
I'm going to have to interrupt again. I have to, because see, to me, I literally thought the reason why he was upset with her was because he said, go get a boat and do the water seal. And she was like, no, fuck off. I'm going to go do the earth seal for no reason. That's why I thought that was happening. So he's like, should I do something wrong? And I'm like, oh yeah, you did. You didn't do what he said. He's like, why the hell are you over here? I thought you were going to the water geyser. But turns out that isn't what happened. Turns out that's unrelated.
Nope, it is unresolved, unrelated. So yeah, we then make our way out of whichever dungeon that takes place in, and on the way out, Colette collapses, and you're like, oh well, we gotta let her rest, and Rain says, oh, this must be her angel toxicosis, which is the most anime fucking thing I've ever heard.
God. As soon as she said
bonitis.
As soon as she said, I'm calling this angel toxicosis, I was like, oh, really? Did we have to?
She's got Darbac-my-legus.
Yes. And so everyone's like, Colette, are you okay? And she's like, no, I'm fine. Didn't want to worry everybody. So then we get another shot at camp. We're all hanging out, and Colette isn't going to sleep. And Lloyd's like, you're sick. You collapsed. You need to rest. We have a long journey ahead. She's like, Kratos is still awake. And I was like, Kratos is on night watch. You collapsed earlier. You need to fucking sleep. And she's like, okay, I promise. And Lloyd walks away, and she says, dream some good dreams for me tonight, Lloyd, which is weird.
Yeah. Wonder what that means.
So, what the fuck? Weird. Okay. I think that's. I think that's part of Maddy's thing. So I was looking up the exact wording in a Let's Play, and their third seal was the Tower of Mana that Maddy did, and immediately previous to this is very different.
Yeah, basically I did everything that just happened in Asgard and all that, except with all the extra shit that I mentioned that happened that didn't happen to y'all. And then afterward, remember how I said I had to get a book in order to go to a tower, or I had to go to the tower in order to get a book? After I've done all of this, I now also have the key to get to the tower, which is what I've been after all along. And then I go back to the tower thinking it's just a side quest. And then after I finish that side quest, I guess I'll go to the island and take the boat and do a geyser or something. And then I go up the tower, and in addition to getting a book, I also do a seal while I'm there. So I was like, well, Sam said 2 seals, so that's it.
That's it. So
none the wiser.
After the third seal, you receive your angelic power, and he tells you where the next seal is, and Colette changes from saying father, father, father to Lord Remiel, because he obviously is not being a loving father figure, and she's like, what the fuck ever. And he says, the end of your journey is close. Hurry and become a true angel. Do not disappoint me. And she's like, well, I don't know what that is. So then we make our way outside, and that gosh darn angel toxicosis strikes again, and Colette collapses. And And like as she falls, she like fucks up her hand real bad, and and Lloyd's like, show me what's happening, or show me your hand. And she's like, no, it's fine, it's whatever, like you don't have to worry about me. It's like, well, we're going to set up camp anyways. And so when you get to the camp, he's like, Colette, your hand is like gushing blood, it's super bloody. And she's like, oh, I didn't notice because it doesn't hurt. And Lloyd's like, what the fuck? She goes, it doesn't hurt as much as I would think it would, because it's obviously definitely hurting right now, for real. And he's like, okay, cool. Well, here, I brought you some hot coffee. And so she grabs the metal cup of hot coffee, and she's like, oh, thank you. And he's like, it's really hot, isn't it? She goes, yeah, it's super hot. He goes, it's iced coffee. She goes, oh, yeah, I mean it was cold. Yeah, it's really cold. It's like, it's so cold that it like makes my hand feel hot, you know, like an ice burn, like dry ice. Like, that's what I meant. And he goes, I lied. It's hot coffee. He's like, I knew it. You can't feel anything, can you? And she's like, I guess. And he's like, so you were bleeding like crazy. You didn't even flinch when I like poked at your open wound, and you haven't been eating. And she's like, I eat. And he's like, not really. And she's like, you're right. But he's like, you haven't been sleeping, have you?
I do normal human things.
She's like, you haven't been sleeping. She goes, yeah, I have. Look, my eyes aren't red. He's like, you're fucking stupid. Like, stop lying to me. Why are you lying to me?
Why the fuck you lying? Why are you always lying?
Lying.
Oh my god. Stop fucking lying.
Oh. I love how nobody can resist singing that.
We can't.
Once you start.
Yeah. But and so you're like, what's going on? She's like, well, ever since we released Fire Seal, I didn't get hungry anymore. I didn't have any taste for any sort of food. Then at the next seal, I stopped wanting to sleep, and now with this seal, I don't feel anything. And then me, the game player, is like, so that means she can't lose hit points, right? Like, like I need to use her in battle every time now, right?
No. Yeah. God, I wish that's how it worked.
Right.
Also, when the enemies cast a sleep spell on her, it shouldn't work, right?
Right.
She's immune to fire damage.
Yeah.
She can't eat when you cook afterwards, though.
Damn.
Yeah, she should say, I'm hungry. I'm already full every time you try to feed her.
Yeah.
No, she just does the thing where, like, you make a sandwich after battle, and they hand out the sandwiches, and she's like, delicious sandwich, and then when no one's looking, she just tosses it behind a bush.
Yeah.
Or she loudly is like, wow, that was so delicious, but everyone else's HP goes back up and hers doesn't because she didn't actually. But Lloyd's like, why didn't you say anything? She's like, I figured this is just what being an angel was like, so I just thought it was part of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real honest. Remiel has seemed sus from the fucking start.
Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't mention this last week, but when you first talk to him, it's like, I actually was just chalking out his game having kind of dumb writing sometimes. But you first meet Remiel, and then as they're finishing out the meeting with Remiel, he's like, Colette, you're the chosen. She's like, hey, I've got a question. Are you my real fa... And then he interrupts, and he's like, no time for that. Now go, my daughter Colette. And I'm like, wait, why would you interrupt her asking if you're her dad and then immediately tell her that you're her dad?
Yeah, I was like, that's
And then she goes, so you
weird.
are my father. And I'm like, what? He could have just let her finish the question and then said, yes.
Yeah, like,
it was very strange.
It feels like he's telling her what she wants to hear so that she'll go on this big dangerous mission.
Yeah. It's but again, it's like he could have just said yes. But yeah, I have something's up for sure. Colette's probably gonna have a bad time. Let's just put it that way. She seems like she's not gonna have a good time in this game.
Yeah. And so The final thing for the week is she begs Lloyd to not tell the others, and Lloyd's like, "Why?" And she's like, "Well, because we're on a trip together, and I want it to be fun, so I don't want them to worry about me." And Lloyd's like, "You're so stupid," and walks away. And that's where we saved. I guess that's where we saved, because that's where I saved. It's not where Maddy saved.
Yeah, then I went into another dungeon.
Yeah, who the fuck even knows? But yeah, next week we will play till I forgot where it was, but it was the end of whatever their chapter 4 was, which was after the Silverant base, which is after the Tower of Salvation in Silverant. So we'll do the Tower of Salvation in Silverant base, but we will not do anything inside the Fooji Mountains. So if you get to the Fooji Mountains, that is, you have gone too far. So finish up this non-linear garbage. Do Lake Umasi, Triet Ruins, the Tower of Salvation, and the Silverant base. That is the goal here. And I'm fairly certain that the Fooji Mountains are right after the big what the fuck of the game. And so
nice.
We will stop there. But for now, let's listen to some music and talk about our memorable moments. One of y'all go first.
I want to go first because mine, I'm pretty sure, are all things that y'all could not have encountered anyway, which is fun. A few of mine involve Sheena, and I won't talk. And I won't. We're not going to talk about Judy. We're not going to talk about Judy at all. So yeah, like I said, yeah, I have all these scenes with Sheena, and it turns out that she's sweet. And there's this one really, really funny part where did I not get a picture of this? I whipped out my phone and took a picture of this. Well, I guess not. I'll just say it anyway. There's a part where we walk in and actually, hold on. Maybe it's, look, give me 1 second. Maybe I went back later and got it off of a Let's Play, and therefore it would be on my computer and not on my phone. Because you know how like you do that sometimes when you forget to get a picture of something, you're like, oh, I'll go back and get it later. Hold on a second. Date added. Screen. No. Okay, well, I'll just recount it then. Yeah, after you've had a couple scenes with Sheena and Colette has kind of like unilaterally decided that y'all are friends now, you go into like a room and Sheena's there and we're like, hey Sheena, and the other person is like, are you friends? And at the same time, Colette goes, yeah, and Sheena goes, no. And then she gets mad at you. And it reminded me of the identical scene from Deep Space Nine. Yes. And in addition to that, there's a subplot here where anytime there's a dog in the game, if you click on the dog, Colette decides to name the dog. Mm-hmm. So that's fun. There's just all these dogs, and she's like, you look like your name is Spot. I don't know if that ends up being anything or if that's just how it is. Also, later we run into Sheena, and she's playing hide and seek with a bunch of kids, and she goes, "What are you looking at?" And Lloyd says, "Oh, you're actually a nice person after all." And of course, she gets all mad and Sundare about you saying that she's a nice person. It's cute. Finally, there is wait, was there one more thing? Oh, right, food. You mentioning food made me remember this. So I was looking at the food system, right? Because you can like cook food in this game. It's actually quite interesting. I like it. Every food has a required thing and then optional things that are different for every character. So like, if you want to make a sandwich, Lloyd likes his sandwich with like beef and a certain kind of green and a tomato, whereas like Gennis likes his sandwich with like cheese and with like a different kind of green and with any kind of meat, stuff like that. I looked at Rain's menu, and when you first get Rain, or not when you first get Rain, but until you level her up, her preferred ingredients for bread is there aren't any. So Rain, apparently her quote unquote sandwich is just bread. It's just 2 slices of bread with nothing
not a bread
on
sandwich.
It. Literally a bread sandwich. That's what Rain eats, which I think is hilarious and fits her character because she's
Absolutely
a stupid dumbass.
She's one of those tech bros that just drinks a Soylent and eats a piece of bread.
If you level up her cooking to her maximum cooking level is level 2 stars. So if you get her from 0 stars to 1 star, she then starts putting one thing on her bread instead of just bread. But I thought that was really funny because everyone else again has like 4 ingredients that they put on their bread. And the final thing is there's this really elaborate side quest. I ran into this caravan. I think it was before I went through the pass to get to the new location.
I got the start of that side quest, but I haven't been able to get to the place to do the...
Oh, well, that's all I'm talking about. Okay. So you get to the cycle, but it's long. It's like 5 minutes worth of cutscenes. Basically, we can talk about it more later probably, but we have this super long cutscene where we find out about this bird that these guys are after I think it's called the Astra bird. And the Astra bird was last seen on this mountain, but it's not there anymore. And we kind of run back and forth a whole lot. And then we find out that when it was seen on the mountain, there was like this jingling sound in the air. And then someone else is like, oh, that jingling sound is made by this one plant that grows. And then its leaves make a jingling sound. And then also it was super windy that day, but also that tree's not there anymore. It's this super fucking long thing where it's like, we gotta find a place where it's windy and also is really high up and also where this tree used to be but now isn't. But we gotta get the tree to come back. So in order to do that, we're gonna have to use a special ancient magic to make the tree like come back, but we're also gonna need to nurture the soil with like the proper nutrients. And we gotta do all that stuff, and we gotta find the location, and then eventually somehow this bird will be there or something. I don't know what it is. It's super long and complicated. I didn't write it down because I was like, this is a side quest. And I figured Sam would explain it in more detail because I forgot that Sam wasn't playing any of the parts I was playing. I'm guessing it, and I wasn't able to make any progress. So I'm guessing it's one of those side quests that takes like the entire game, and either A, it'll lead to a great optional reward at the end, or B, it'll be one of those things where like in the final act of the game, it's like we have to get the bird Astra in order to save the day. I hope you've been doing that side quest.
Yeah.
Kind of like like the lengthy trading quest in Link's Awakening, right? It's like you do it parallel with the rest of the game. I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, we gotta make some tree grow, and it's like a multi-step process, and then eventually there's gonna be a bird.
Fun.
That's all I got.
Awesome. What about you, Eli? Do you have any?
Not particularly. I mean, I will say I'm not absolutely hating the game. I'm enjoying it for the most part. But I still find bits of it tedious. However, it's way less tedious because I've had to do practically nothing and my characters are almost level 40.
Wow.
So I'm enjoying that part. Yeah, the 10 times experience thing from buying stuff
That's
with
ridiculous.
grade. It's so good.
Yeah. I like having played this game before and playing it now. Definitely pick this up on Steam because it's like $5 every time there's a Steam sale, and then look up that save file and at least get the 2 times experience. Make it a little easier on yourself because all of the like game parts of it aren't as good as like just hanging out and doing all the fun scenes with your bros, and feeling like you're awesome in this battle system feels good, but getting your ass kicked in this battle system does not feel good. So
my only real issue with the game, because I do like a lot about the battle system, there's one big issue I have, which is that it's way too hard to avoid taking damage. Mm-hmm. And if you're playing, and I don't just mean like it's too hard, I mean like it's hard in a way that I don't think is good, because when you're playing an action game, you want to be able to play it well, right? Like when you're playing Dark Souls, if you're really, really good at Dark Souls, you can just never take any damage. And you can do that either by blocking or by dodging. And there's smart ways to do that. In this game, if you block, you take chip damage, which is like, okay, that's fine. It's like fighting games. You take chip damage, right? But there's no equivalent like dodge. Like even though it's got that whole 3D but also 2D system, like Tekken, you can't like Tekken style do a quick step around them. You can't do that. That's not in this game. So there's no dodge button at all. The only way to dodge is to just run in the opposite direction while they're winding up their attack. And that doesn't feel good at all. That doesn't feel like you're dodging. It just feels like you're running away and then coming back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Literally,
you see them lining up their attack and you just run to the left like 10 feet. And then when they're done, you run back and resume hitting them. It's just weird. So because there's not enough ways to avoid taking damage, that means you're constantly having to like pump healing items, right? And every time you pump a healing item, you feel like you failed, because if you were playing better, you would just be able to not get hit, right? But they don't give you enough tools to do that. And also your healer, although admittedly I didn't have the right healer in my party, but what's his name? Kratos from God of War. He does have healing spells, but like he would not fucking heal me. And also, if you tell one of your party members to heal you, they can get interrupted. So invariably, I tell Kratos, hey, could you heal me? And then he gets smacked by the bad guy while attempting to heal me. So then I just end up having to use most of what I do as a party member is just using healing items on myself constantly. And again, like I didn't have a ton of trouble with the game really. But it's just weird. It's just weird. Literally, give this game a dodge roll. Like, I'm not saying every game in the world needs to have a dodge roll, but like for either give it a dodge roll or like I don't know, do like what Metal Gear Rising Revengeance does and have like complex like point counter system or something.
If you hold block, that I'm using an Xbox controller, so it's the X button. If you hold block and
square,
hit, and hit like back, so you're moving away from the enemies, you'll actually jump back.
Oh, well, fuck. I guess I just never did that. I do know that if you block and then hit down, you do a better version of your shield, which is great for dodging against magic, but it still doesn't... see, that costs MP, that downward block, that special block. If it costs MP,
jump back,
it should...
I don't think does.
Right. But the thing is, if I'm spending MP to do a special version of a block that only exists for a certain amount of time and has a certain timing window, why doesn't it block 100% damage?
Yeah.
It should. Like that's the whole that's the trade-off, right? You have a general block that you can just hold down as much as you want, but it only blocks partial damage, or you have your special timing block that takes MP and only lasts for about 1 second. That blocks all damage. If that was the case, then I could play the game at a higher level of skill, right? Anyway, also, now that I know about the back dodge, I'll start trying that.
Yeah, and if I recall correctly, you can also do like a jumpy flip. If you hit the control stick a certain way. Oh, okay.
Which, once you unlock it, it's great.
I must have it unlocked because I used that save file.
I've unlocked it now, but I didn't have it unlocked at first.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you get it this playthrough just by normal play. But yeah, it's called Tempest, and it owns.
Yeah. Or as Eli said, the jumpy flip. Tempest is great, but yeah, that's a special ability. Which once I got that, honestly, that was about when I started liking the game more. Was when I got Tempest.
Yeah, if you were just listening and you're like, I want to play this Tales game that like so much, play Tales of Graces. Every single complaint that Maddy has brought up or Eli has brought up or I have noticed is fixed in Graces. And Graces is like the best one. I haven't beaten Berseria to know if it's better than it or not, but Graces is like hella good. The skits are voice acted and they tie into things better. There is
Tales
a dodge
of Graces
button.
The same thing as Tales of Graces F?
Yes.
Okay.
F is the PS3 remake of the Wii game.
Tales of Wild Arms Grace's Alter Code F.
Yes, XF. But yeah, like the battle system is crunchier. Like me and Maddy were talking on the Discord earlier that there's really not a get good option for this battle system, even though it feels like there should be. There is a get good option in Grace's, and it's really good. If I had my way, and I mean I could have because I'm the one that plans the podcast, but I decided not to because I hate myself. I guess we would have been playing Grace's instead. But yeah, it's real darn good. So if the good things of this game sound interesting to you, they are better in Grace's. And if you're only going to play one, play that one. But play both of them if you can.
I did think of one other thing I wanted to mention.
Go ahead.
And it's that it really feels like the majority of fantasy games out there are this weird mishmash of fantasy and technology.
This is bugging me last week too.
Because, yeah, and like, it's not that it bothers me because I'm used to it. And I mean, Final Fantasy XIV is one of my favorite games, and it is a big-ass mishmash of fantasy and technology. As is World of Warcraft, Chrono Trigger, just fucking every Final Fantasy game. Like, why, like, are there any, like, true fantasy games where technology is not incorporated whatsoever?
May I suggest
I'm not talking,
the works of
J.R.R. Tolkien?
No. I was going to say the works of, and then I, like a dummy, forgot the guy's name. Matsuno. All the Ivalice games.
Yasunori Tactics Advance.
Yasunori Matsuno, I believe is his name.
Yeah, I believe so.
Anyway, Tactics Advance doesn't count because that's an isekai. Like, you remember Tactics Advance, he goes into another universe that's all made up. It's like a dream. Yeah. So it's not actually the same at all. It's just very similar aesthetics. Yeah, he goes in an isekai to the Ivalice world, except later it turns out it was all fake anyway. So it's not actually the same thing. But yeah, FFT and Vagrant Story and FF12 have much... FF12 to a lesser extent, but still good enough, because all the technology does come from magical crystals, and they explain how it works enough to where it's not just like, okay, they have factories now, you know? They have robots now. Those games do a good job with that, but yeah, no, this drives me insane too, actually, and it actually does bug me a lot. I actually, you know what game first started bugging me about this?
What?
FF14. I think the reason is because in most other games, the world itself isn't so important. Like, look, I'm on an adventure to save the world, okay? And if the world building and aesthetics aren't actually very consistent or well thought out, it's whatever. It's about the characters. It's about the friends made along the way. It's about the drama. It's like Harry Potter, right? Harry Potter's world building is terrible. It makes no sense, but it's really just there to support the story. But FF14 is an MMO. So by its very nature, the world and existing in it is a much bigger part of the game.
Yeah.
Which is why it started driving me insane. Especially because of how I've been getting infinitely more into Marxist historical materialism in the last year or so. Which isn't to say that I'm more a fan or a believer of it than I used to be, more just that I'm better at it. I understand more of how it works. And I'm like, this world makes no sense. You wouldn't have, if a world had this technology, then you wouldn't have this society. This social, this governmental system could not coexist with this level of technology.
Yeah.
That's not how history works. That's not how societies form. It doesn't make any fucking sense. And it's been driving me absolutely bonkers in FF14. I'm like, you can just teleport? I'm like, it's actually, and it's not just a gaming abstraction, but is a canonical, like you mentioned, the fact that teleportation exists in instance communication. Okay, well then why is their political arrangement the way that it is? That wouldn't make any sense. Or what is their economic system in this country? It doesn't have anything to do. And then when they had that whole subplot about the uprising and the refugee crisis or whatever, and they were like, oh yeah, the cities are fine, but out in the countryside, there's all these political progressives who are uprising. I'm like, no, that's the opposite of how it has worked throughout the entirety of history. It's the cities that have political unrest and revolutionary action, and it's the countryside that generally is considered to be lagging behind in that regard. It's literally goes against all established theories of history. Anyway, this game is the same way for sure. Last week, it's like, you got captured by the bad guys, and now you're in a hangar that has literal, like, computers and robots and metal machinery technology, and I'm just like, whatever, this shit's stupid.
I mean, I will say that I have like some kind of extreme ability to suspend disbelief. Because I never really see this kind of shit until someone points it out to me, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I still like it. And like, it didn't even occur to me until you explained just now about the different political systems. Oh god, we've gone 10 minutes past.
Oops.
Sorry, talking about this.
That's okay.
It was an interesting tangent. But it is very weird to me that most fantasy also incorporates sci-fi these days. At least in the video game world. And I would like to see some things that are like not medieval Earth, but like you know, it could be set on a different planet or something than Earth, but it's more like, you know, you have everything is magic.
Yeah.
And you don't have magic tech.
Consistent, holistically thought out world building. You know what I've heard does a great job of this? What's up?
I'm holding out for Final Fantasy 16 because that seems to be exactly that.
I'm interested to see where that goes.
Yeah. You know what game actually does a great job of that, actually? FF10. I'm not saying it doesn't have technology in it, because it does, but its world building is extremely well thought out, and the technology makes sense with the world that exists. I'm like, I can conceptualize how this world could exist in real life. You know, like it would actually work. One
other real quick thing I've noticed about this, technology is almost always owned by the bad guys.
Oh yeah, totally. FF14 does that very hardcore.
Yeah. The Garleans are the ones with all the tech.
Which that does have some basis in history. I mean, World War I largely was like, hey, this extremely backwards country that can barely even be called a country, frankly, for some reason just had a massive leap forward in industrial technology, and now they want to be the top dogs. Talking about Germany, of course. Because France has been leading the world politically, and Britain has been leading the world economically, and then all of a sudden Germany just has this absolute explosion of industry for a variety of rather complicated reasons, and now they want to be the big dogs. So like World War I, like Germany's unprecedented war machine, I'm sure is probably in many ways the inspiration for a lot of this. Like, oh, the evil empire has tanks and we don't. But this game, it was very noticeable. This game, it's like literally half the game is like forest elves living in not really, but like half the game is like hippy dippy fantasy nonsense where everyone lives in a tiny village by the sea with 10 people in it. And then you have bad guys that have giant mechanical monstrosities and biotechnology where they can turn people into zombies.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, like you do.
Like you do.
But, I had a couple left over, but there are things that Maddy hasn't gotten to yet, so I'll just talk about them next week.
Good idea.
We were gone a little bit over. But if you like what you heard today and you want to help us keep the lights on, you can head on over to www.rpgbook.club, where you can donate and get access to our Ko-Fi exclusive series, Book Club no Kiseki. We've started making the backlog has started making its way into the regular pod feed. So if you listen to that and decide that you like it, you can have access to like 4 or 5 more that we have banked up on the Ko-Fi. And so check us out there. There also is a poll live to vote on the next game that we play for our best of the rest, where you can vote between Final Fantasy X-2, Breath of Fire 4, Anachronox, and Hexus Force, because those are all the ones that lost their respective brackets over this last year. And so you can pick our game there, and we will play that next. Like I mentioned before, we are going to complete up through the Silverant base, and if you make it to Fooji Mountains, you have gone too far. But for RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I'm Maddy Grace Webben.
Toodaloo, folks.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.